Cycle Fever TV is brought to you by these great sponsors, so support them. Call Tough Turf for all your landscaping and irrigation needs. Check out Seminole Power Sports for all their brands of motorcycles, accessories, and service. DA's Cafe, where it's all happening. Bikes, cars, great food, rock and roll music. Come on by. USA Payroll, payroll tax service, workforce benefit solutions, insurance, and human resources. Check them out.
And welcome to Porsche Night for October, everybody. We had a little technical difficulty to get started, so I guess we're up on YouTube to get started, and we'll have it all loaded into Facebook a little later. Okie dokie. We'll get through it. All right, so I want to go ahead and get started. We've got a guest with us tonight, Ken Fengler with the International GT. And Ken and I have got some history together, so we'll dig into that a little bit later. So what I wanted to get started with, Ken, is just talk about what's been going on lately. I know that just recently you took a little trip out to California with your wife and had some fun out there and went to the Rennsport Reunion 6 at Laguna Seca. So tell us a little bit about that experience out at Rennsport.
Well, it was a great opportunity. This Rennsport 6 out at Monterey gave the opportunity for all the Porsche faithful, all 81,000 of them, which was up over 2015, over 20,000 people. And it was everything Porsche history and racing, a very special event since this is the 70th anniversary of Porsche.
Yeah, so we've had the celebrations here throughout the year for the 70th anniversary with Porsche. We had a great event here at the dealership in Winter Park, and it just continues throughout the year. Everybody's going crazy on social media with their Instagram posts, and you name it, they're just going crazy about Porsche. All kinds of cool things happening with Porsche, with electric cars, with GT cars coming out this year, and now the celebration with Rennsport Reunion, which is really something special. My first Rennsport, I don't know when yours was. I'm going to take a guess because you're a Connecticut guy, but my first one was here at Daytona, and I think it was along about 2007 or 8, if I'm not mistaken, and just had a blast out there. And for everybody who's not familiar with Rennsport, it is the largest celebration of Porsche really anywhere in the world now. This thing has grown, as you said, to 80,000 people. It's just an amazing, amazing event, and this is where everybody from the Porsche racing world gets together in one place and just has a great weekend of fun, from drivers from back in the 50s and 60s all the way to current day, and it's just Porsche heritage overload, I think is what I would call it. And it's just a great time to get together. So really, what was maybe one of the most special things that you experienced this year at Rennsport?
Well, I have to say, first off, the venue. 2015, and I was at Daytona also, and I'm an East Coast guy, and I went out there in 2015 with the idea of saying, all right, they've talked about moving it back to the East Coast, and they need to do that. Well, when I drove up over the hill in Monterey in 2015, and I looked down and I saw 700 air-cooled cars parked in one parking lot, 175 356s, 80 914s, I kind of got the feeling that maybe this was the right place. The drive up, we rented a Porsche in LA and drove up the Pacific Coast Highway, and the people in Porsches who were stopping, the 356s, and just photographing the beautiful California scenery scenery along the Coast Highway. It's just a special thing, and I have to say, I came away in 15, and it was reconfirmed in 2018 that this is the right place for this event, the Gathering of the Faithful. Even if you weren't a Porsche fan, if you went to this event, you would be hard not to get bitten by the bug. The special things, the cars of every genre and era that you were there, from the 50s all the way through. Dr. Porsche there driving Porsche #1. The factory drivers, and this was a special time, and you have to remember that most of the drivers, the heroes of the 60s and 70s that were in the iconic Porsche cars, such as the 917s, 935, 962s, their ages now start with high 70s and maybe 80 something. And this is an event that Porsche said they would do every 3 years. We came away from 2018 with some a bit vague. It may not be until the 75th anniversary that this happens again. So I felt 2018, the 70th anniversary, was just a special thing. The one thing I thought was the coolest, yes, you saw the Mission E there, and there it was, which I said to you earlier, that car will make, the only thing you'll remember about Tesla, and I know somebody's here from Tesla, is that they're an 80s hairband. Because Porsche with this new car will be quite extraordinary. But the cool thing about it, going all the way back, where else can you see Porsche tractors race? And if anybody who saw that video,
my gosh, the pink pig tractor that Gunner Racing and Kevin Jeanette put together was something that was really special.
Yeah,
out of the box.
That's Kevin's outside the box thinking, the most creative Porsche mind that's out there, Kevin. And but it was the drivers, it was every engineer that worked on turbocharging, from Valentin Schaefer, who really is considered the father of turbocharging for Porsche. All the support staff, and Porsche did it right. They had first-class entertainment, they had stages, they had interviews, and it just went on for 5 days, and it really was a special event.
Yeah, it was. And you mentioned Valentin Schaefer and Norbert Singer. I remember in 1984 when 962001, the very first 962, raced here in the United States at Daytona, and I know Gunner Racing completed the full restoration of that car this year and sent it out west, and they plugged in the drivetrain and just had a spectacular run with that car out there, showing it off to the whole world. And really, when you look at the history of the 962 and all the races that were won in the 962, it was really an amazing thing to see that car back on the track, really representing that era. And for a lot of people, that era was really the golden era. And you mentioned a lot of these guys that were driving those cars now are getting up there, and we don't know when we're going to see them again in another car. So it's just awesome to be able to spend time and see this happen all over again through these guys. So
no doubt.
All right, so Rennsport was an awesome event.
Yep.
You had a great time. You got to take it all in. Let's backtrack now and talk a little bit about what you're doing these days. I mean, and you've been doing it for a little while with International GT, and this is an exciting series. Pretty cool stuff going on. So maybe if you can just tell us a little bit about International GT, maybe when it started, how you got involved with it, sort of, what is this all about?
Well, this racing thing started with me 35 years ago, and it hasn't left yet. And my wife says I have to do something. So 5 years ago, we had started a Cayman series, back in 2008 with HSR, Historic Vintage Racing Group. And at that time, the Cayman really wasn't a race car. We didn't have GT4s, and Porsche really wanted to concentrate on the 911. We came up with a concept, and I have to say Ron Barnabo is this, but the marketing deal with that was to put the historic Porsche liveries on Cayman race cars, now copied by the factory at Le Mans, and also just at Petit Le Mans just last weekend. And we had 18 cars on the grid that had the Pink Pig, the Rothmans livery, Lowenbrow, Miller, all the historic liveries, and it was a great marketing deal of this platform for the Cayman. It continued for 4 years. Napleton Porsche out of Chicago kind of backed the whole thing. 75 cars were built and were sold, and we raced them for 5 years. And in 2012, I believe it was, Napleton ran a Cayman in a kind of an odd class that was made for Mazda, but the Cayman home, and it was ran the hippie car livery in 2012, and that was it. It was culminated with a Daytona 24-hour win with a Cayman race car. And we've kind of continued on. We renamed it the Stuttgart Cup. So that started our basis. I was partnered up with a good friend, Bill Riddell, who was a great enthusiast and longtime racer. And he came to me and said, hey, would you help me continue this tradition with the Caymans? And I did. And I also had another friend, Juan Gonzalez, out of Mexico. He owns a company called Mission Foods that makes all the tortilla chips and all their products.
We know that well.
And he had a product called the GT3 Cup Trophy, and we included the 911s. So we launched a all Porsche series in 2015, and that was with the GT3 Cup cars and the Cayman cars. And in 2017, we were asked by some Ferrari Challenge customers if we would run them, so we launched the Maranello Cup. And so we run the Porsche GT3 Cup, Cayman cars, and Ferrari Challenge cars all together. We run 7 races. Next year we'll have 9, all the major racetracks, VIR, Lime Rock, Daytona, Sebring, Road Atlanta, Road America, Mid-Ohio.
What a list of tracks.
All the places that racers want to go.
Oh my gosh.
And we've averaged 25 cars over it. It's sportsman type racing. We run it on a professional platform, you know, in that the marketing that we do is professional, and we have Pirelli. We're backed by Pirelli, Porsche, BRM, and Mission Foods. So we have great marketing partners. And it's a 7-race series in which we run 2 sprint races and an hour-and-a-half Duro throughout the race weekend. Our marketing partner, or let's say partner on this, is Trans Am and also SVRA. So we're on those weekends and running with them.
Trans Am weekends.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, that is awesome. So that must just give you, a lot of joy, a lot of pleasure knowing that, you can be involved in racing. I know that you love to drive, so it's a little bit of a different deal now. When was the last time you drove?
Well, in Anger?
Yeah, in Anger. Yeah.
Oh, when I drove up I-4 coming over here. All right, that was pretty. Not very happy about it. But probably really now 8 or 9 years ago, and
wow.
I got to do a lot more than I ever thought I'd do. I got to do 6 Daytona 24 hours. 3 12-hour Sebrings. Did IMSA Firehawk back in the 86, 87 series. I got to do a lot more than I ever thought I'd get to do.
Wow.
And so being around it and being around the sport for now is very gratifying and a lot of fun. I do enjoy it.
Well, very modest, Kenny. I mean, 6 Daytona 24-hour races?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
we didn't finish them all.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
That's all right. Well, that's awesome. Well, I know that, we came to know each other back in the late 80s, back when I was working in IMSA, and I think maybe the first time I met you was somewhere around Gunner Racing. I'm not sure. But then I remember as well a weekend with the PCA. So we're here, tonight with the Citrus region of Porsche Club of America, and there was an event at Sebring, and you were there with your 73 Carrera RS. And I remember seeing you and, being the perfect gentleman that you always are, you invited me to go for a ride in your RS around Sebring, and I'll never forget that. It was one of the most awesome rides in a Porsche I think I've ever had, and it was just a blast. So I want to thank you again for that. It's a memory that stuck with me for many, many years.
Well, it was a special car. It was all about the car. I bought that car in 1986. It was something I always wanted, and there was very little about RSs at the time. Very little known. I had seen a couple of them. They were only brought into Europe. There were very few in the States. But then a frenzy caught on. I bought that car in Switzerland for $17,000
oh my
1986. By 1989, the feeding frenzy on that particular model, and everybody kind of figured out how special the car was, started. So I sold it. I had a big mortgage, a kid on the way, and I was offered 6 figures in the car, and that was more money than I ever thought I'd see. So in 1989, I sold the car, but it was a special car.
Yeah,
a very cool time.
So no regrets. You had just a blast with it. It's just one of those things that, I know a lot of guys say, oh man, I wish I'd never let that get away. But you had your time with it. It
Yep.
was awesome, and you move on, and
Right.
and you're still having a great Porsche life now.
Yeah,
right?
there've been other Porsches since then, so it's all good.
Yeah. So we back up to the beginning of all this craziness. So we have a few other things in common too, and I think you're first Porsche was what model?
914.
A 914, of
Yeah,
course.
914.
So many guys that race Porsche started with 914s. You can go down the list, you know, of drivers that have gotten involved with Porsche for the first time in a 914. So tell us a little bit about that car. When did you get it, and how long did you have it?
Well, yeah, I got a 914. Of course, everybody wanted a 911, and I was a college student. I was driving a Triumph TR6, which I had bought in high school, and it just wouldn't stay together. I sold the TR6, had a Volkswagen Beetle for 2 months, and I said, as dependable as the Beetle was, it just wasn't going to be me. So, long story short, I was going to buy a Datsun 260Z, but I put the Volkswagen up for sale, and I bent the bumper on it, and I had to go to the Volkswagen Porsche store. Went there to buy a bumperette, came out with the bumperette, and by the way, I needed financing on this thing, and I was, I was lucky. My parents were great, they were working people, and my dad is really the reason I'm a car guy because of my father. But he worked in a steel mill. My mom was a secretary. They were hardworking middle class people, and they sent me to school, which was great. I was off at college, having a great time, and so anyway, in the student union, there was a little sign that said we could get you free money, and I thought free money was a good deal. It was called a student loan.
Oh yeah, perfect.
And they said you don't have to pay the money back for 5 years. I thought at 0% interest. I wasn't an economics major, but I thought free money and 0% interest, student loans, sign me up. So they gave me $5,000. So within a week, I bought a 914 and a drum set.
Oh, perfect.
All right, and
what did you keep longer, the drum set or the 914?
I still have the drum set.
Okay.
I still have the drum set. But it sent me on my way to Porsche ownership in 1974, and it never ended. I got out of school. Again, I parlayed my future earnings to buy a 911. I bought a Mexico Blue 911, and we got married in that car.
That was the car you got married in?
That was the car I got married in, yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
so where'd you go in it right after the wedding? Did you go on your honeymoon in the 911?
Yeah. We didn't drive to Bermuda, but we did get there. Yeah.
So you have a car, you have a 911 on your honeymoon for your wedding day, and then what happened in between there? So then you picked up was the RS the next car?
In between
it was the white and blue Carrera RS, right?
Yeah. So I sold the Mexico Blue car. The 911 SC had come out, 74 car. I bought a 911 SC because I thought I wanted air conditioning and a sunroof, and I don't know, that car just never. It was a beautiful looking car, but it never excited me to drive, and so I kept it about 2 years, and I put that up for sale. It was a gorgeous car, and that's what I sold to buy the RS. And the RS I became excited about driving again once I got the RS. Said the SC didn't do it, so I went on to that, and that's how I ended up with the RS.
And then now the Porsche that you own now is an RSR?
Yeah, I have a IMSA GTU car. I was in Florida. I'd moved from Connecticut to Florida, and the thing down at that time in the early 80s, I bought the car from the government, from a group of pharmaceutical wholesalers who went away to camp, and so I ended up with that car, and I still have that car today. Now, the funny story about that car, when I got it, it was a race car, and it was painted black, and when we stripped the car and got it down, it was Mexico Blue, just as it was, same color as my original 74.
Wow. Isn't it crazy how things happen?
There's a 74 GT4 Cayman out there. I had to go take a picture. I have lots of pictures of cars over 35 years, but I had to go take a picture of that Mexico Blue car out in the parking lot.
Yeah, I think that's Kelly's car. We had her on the show a few shows ago, and she's just having a blast with that car. She loves it. She had that car spec'd out absolutely down to what she wanted, every little piece to that, and she just absolutely loves that car. So I'm glad you got a chance to see it.
Yeah, that's the car I would spec out too.
That's awesome. So that brings you to current day. The RSR is in the fleet now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're having fun with the racing series, and now the hunt is on yet for some other Porsche. I know they're on your way over here. You were looking at another 914.
Always look at something. I'm trying to recreate, I'm trying to recreate my childhood, which my wife said I've never left. And quite honestly, I'm going back and buying cars.
That's a good thing, right?
I think it's a good thing, and I'm going back and buying cars that I had. I'd like a 914. Honestly, Maureen is the hugest 914 fan. We had, matter of fact, when we had she had a 914 2-liter, and I had my 911, and the license plates on that car, her 914 was hello, HELLO dash, and mine was goodbye. So those are the plates we had on those cars.
Fantastic. Well, you know what's awesome is that Maureen is so supportive of this thing called Porsche and cars, right?
Yeah.
And it's not only Porsche, because I know you have a beautiful TR6 too.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Fantastic little British car. I see you all over the place with that, going up north with it in the summertime and traveling with that. So it's just awesome to be able to experience all of this, do what you want to do when you want to do it, with who you want to do it with, right?
Right.
With your wife, and just having a great time.
Yeah, we've met some wonderful people. The cars have really put us in a place where we meet a lot of wonderful people and had wonderful experiences, and it's a nice thing to do. The Porsche thing has been a positive thing in our life. It created me a living, which I never thought. I always wanted to make enough money to retire to do actually what I do now, and my roommates are in that retirement age. They go, when are you going to retire, Ken? I go, retire from what?
Why?
So 2 things you do when you retire. First off, they're in Connecticut. They say you move to Florida. I did that 36 years ago. Did that, and the second is you get to do what you want to do. And I've been very fortunate to be in the motorsports business for 35 years, to actually make a living out of it, and more importantly, meet some wonderful people along the way. And that's really been a blessing.
Maybe that's a great reminder. Back when I first met you, I knew that you were doing some very special work with Porsche at the time, with the Porsche Performance Driving School. Was that the name of it?
Yeah, originally that program started. Again, I was at the Porsche Parade in LA in '84 or so, '85, and then I was attending a race at Riverside, and through a mutual friend, Jerry Sutterfield.
Speaking of pink pigs.
Yes,
right?
well, yeah, he had the pink pig and the blue car, the 917.
That's right.
But met a friend who we had dinner, and the guy's name was a Brit who just came over here. He was racing for Bob Aiken, and the guy's name was Derek Bell.
Oh.
And we had dinner together, and we just kind of struck up conversation and friendship, and we were just talking, and he said, gee, I'll be over for Miami and Daytona and Sebring, and I said, gee, when you come over, give me a shout. And we just struck up a friendship, and that within a year we started sitting with, I was starting to run track events. 1983 I did the first driver education event for Porsche Club in Florida, and that was at that time Moroso.
Okay.
So we started that program. It was something that hadn't been in Florida, and we started driving programs, and I was doing more and more, and I got with Derek, and we decided, geez, what if we did this for Porsche customers on a formal basis? So Peter Schutz was the president of Porsche at the time. Derek went to Germany, spoke to Porsche. We put a kind of a program together. He said, yes, we would like to do that for our customers. This is 1985. And said, put your deal together. We met in the motorhome at Daytona in 1986, and a motorhome. We put a deal together with Porsche Cars North America. Derek won Daytona that year in 1986, and 1986 we were off and running, which was called the Porsche Precision Driving School with Derek Bell, and that ran from till 1990, and then it became the Porsche Driving Experience, which now runs out of Atlanta.
Right.
We moved it around the country, but the first 4 years we ran 14 different racetracks around the country, and 36 people a day,
right.
And would run through the program. It was a day-and-a-half program, evening classroom, 1 day on track.
And with one of the most prolific, arguably maybe the most prolific sports car drivers of all time.
Yeah, the great guy. Yeah, fantastic gentleman of racing. He's a great ambassador of motorsport. We had a great team of people that worked with us, and it was a traveling road show, and we had a lot of fun and a lot of stories that came out of that program. program.
That's awesome. Such a special time. Well, maybe we'll finish up with this. You've been to Ace Cafe in London, so now this is your first time at the Ace Cafe here in the United States in Orlando.
Yep.
You got a chance to walk around earlier. We sort of checked out the whole place. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what is Ace Cafe in London like? You've been there, you've experienced it, now you've been here. What do you think?
The London thing, I had a friend, I was over there promoting vintage racing in London. There's a big motor show out there, and he brought me, said, I got to take you to Ace Cafe. And I'd known a little bit about it. I'm a classic rock fan. Matter of fact, I'm a big Who fan. And I knew the album Quadrophenia. I knew all about the odds and sods and the rockers and all the mod thing. And so I was very familiar with that. And we went there, and I was just mesmerized really by all the memorabilia on the walls there. It is a fraction of the size of this.
Yeah.
All right.
This place is massive.
Yeah, and this is, and so about 3 years ago, I would see the marketing group for this facility at bike shows. I have a couple of bikes, and I'd ask them about it. And I'd have my London, there we go, shirt on, and they go, oh, you've been to one in London? I said, yeah. What's happening? And it was such a long gestation period to get this renovation out of this fantastic building. I mean, the architecture and structure is wonderful. So I'm really thrilled to be here for the first time. It's taken me this long to get here. How long has it been here? A year and a half.
Yeah.
But it really is fantastic, and I think anybody who looks at the history of the bike and the cafe racing whole thing, and have the cars here, just fantastic. But beautiful facility and fantastic.
Well, awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for saying yes to the invitation and getting out here. I know it took us some time to put it together, but you've been so busy this year with the series, and I'm just so thankful that you came in tonight and you shared some of these stories with us. You got a chance to see Ace Cafe here in the United States.
Yeah, great.
And maybe we'll have you back on sometime in the future, and we'll talk more racing and more Porsche and more cars, and just have another great time. So thanks again for coming in tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Right.
Appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so guys, now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about...
I want you to tell everybody at home that they're going to see this tonight on Facebook.
Oh, okay. So to get over our technical deal, you're going to see this broadcast tonight a little bit later on Facebook, because we're not live on Facebook right now. We're just on YouTube, right? We are now with this, but not on our regular broadcast, right? So we'll get all that rocking and rolling. So what we want to talk about now, just for a few minutes, are some other things that have been going on in the Porsche world here recently. And just as early as this morning, actually, I had a good friend who sent me a text message, and I couldn't believe it. And he's going to tell you a little bit about what he was doing in Germany at the Porsche factory. So you're going to see a little bit about that. I had another friend over the weekend who was at the Petit Le Mans race up in Atlanta. Sent me in a little message about that, so that was a lot of fun. And then we'll also wrap up on a more local level with autocross that took place this weekend up in Tavares. And Ian Collins is going to give us a little bit of report on that. And then we'll come back and talk with Joe Sabatini with Festivals of Speed.
Of your racing school and all that we could use?
I have a bunch of stuff. If you go, you can probably pull stuff off our Facebook deal.
Okay, because this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
we're getting ready to do a 12-hour
less than 18 and a half. So we understand.
They have a little bit of a like a bit of a commercial for Ace Cafe.
Yeah.
They run.
So the podcast, it's a live podcast, but then it goes to you. It stays
Yeah, then it stays on YouTube and stays on Facebook.
You have fun with it.
Good time. And it's cool because a lot of local people, the Porsche people, they come out and we've been able to involve them in the show. So it's not only, guys that are running racing series or whatever that are coming on. We're getting local people involved. They bring their cars on, they talk about their cars. It's allowed kind of a sport of running.
Put them right in the back.
Yeah. So you're going to hear everything. So we'll start with you, actually, and then we'll kick it over to him. Talk about the dealership involved in local events. And then we'll kick it right over to him. Then when you're done, you can pass the mic over to him. Perfect. Come forward. And so, we don't have to be looking at the camera. We can just chat, conversation. Yeah, we're just going to be talking. So bright, you can't really.
Yeah, it's right. How far do you keep going? Yeah, a little below.
We totally lost it. They do a show. They used to do it every week. The bike show for bikers, and they would do a show out here. And now I think they're doing the bike night show every Sunday.
If you want to set up at our own school, you could visit people all day.
Yeah.
If you want to, just hang out. That might be really cool.
Yeah, it's good to be fun. I mean, you get the right guests, you get the right people coming through, and you can make it interesting.
I can get you the names of all of the music bands and set up right there at the rinse.
Yeah.
It's like the, like the golf channel,
Right.
that's the best. The golf courses in the background.
Including the Porsche Citrus Club. So if you've got a Porsche and you haven't been autocrossing, then I highly recommend it. It's a great way to learn what your car does, how much grip it's got, and what it will do in that emergency situation when you need to make an emergency maneuver. It's great and it's addictive. So get on the website, get on Club Reg, register for the Porsche Autocross, which is coming up this month. And also the Martin Sports Car Club has the next one at the Firm, which is almost like a mini track, and you can get up to 60-70 miles an hour at that one, so look that up as well. Anyway, this has been Ian, roving reporting from Tavares, Lake County Sheriff's Training Ground, showing you a bit of what autocross is. Thank you.
109 novice in a beautiful blue Boxster. Starts the second run. And number 9 comes across with a 42.695. 42.695. One novice back on course now. The white Mustang non-GT. And that 09 Boxster comes across with a 46.668 for the novice number 109. 46.668.
All we're back. So we've got another couple of guests joining us tonight. First off is Tom Roach. He is the general sales manager for the new Porsche dealer that we talked about on the last show, Porsche South Orlando. So Tom, welcome.
Appreciate that very much.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Nice turnout tonight. Nice
welcome
event.
to Orlando. Welcome to our fun city, and we're having a great time out here at Ace Cafe. What do you think so far?
I'm liking the weather and great cars.
Yeah,
great cars and great food.
Yeah, it's
great
awesome,
tacos.
So let's kick it off and talk about this a little bit. So the dealership has some plans to be involved in the local community and to do some events. And a big one that's coming up that we want to talk about a little bit is Festivals of Speed. So maybe talk a little bit about the dealership and what the plans are.
We're excited about it from a standpoint of we want people to feel very welcome coming by the store. So we plan on hosting a lot of localized events there at the store, making the place accessible to people that want to host events, PCA and stuff. But as far as Festival of Speed goes, we see it as a great opportunity because the timing of that with our grand opening, they coincide. And it gives us a great opportunity for our team to get out there and meet the customer base in the area.
Wow,
and it's a premier event in the area. We've followed the event for a number of years. We're familiar with it. So we feel like it's a perfect fit for us and a great opportunity.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. So Joe, tell us a little bit about the background of the Festivals of Speed. For those who haven't heard about it, I know that it's been going on for a good number of years, but maybe you can give us a little bit of history, sort of maybe how you got involved with it,
Sure.
And so take it away.
We started just about 15 years ago in a small town called Mount Dora, about 45 minutes north from where we are right now. And we just basically, a group of car guys shut down the streets, and we did a multi-mark show. Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini. Everybody came out, had just a beautiful time. It's a little lakeside village. Had a lot of attendees, some beautiful awards, and it basically grew from there, where now we're in Miami, Tampa, St. Pete, Amelia, Atlanta, of course Orlando, and hopefully next year we'll be up in out west in California.
Oh, really? So you're going to take it on the road a little bit further. So you're getting all the events sort of honed and refined, and you're getting more confidence every year.
Yes.
It's growing.
Yes.
You see the excitement about it. I mean, when you go out to the Festivals of Speed website, pretty cool stuff you see on there. You see a lot of. It really is. It's cool. You can see the excitement.
Yeah.
With the event and everybody participating. So
sure.
So tell us a little bit about where this is going to be held, when it's going to be held this year here in the Orlando area.
Well, it will be held at the Ritz-Carlton Orlando, Sunday, December 2nd. This will be the 13th year of the event. We're the signature event for the property. It's 500 acres, absolutely gorgeous. We put about 325 cars there. We do both vintage and contemporary. Tom's going to bring out some great hardware from the new store. The main focus will be the 70-year anniversary of Porsche.
Oh, wow,
so
fantastic. So the 70th anniversary celebration will continue right up until the last month of the year.
Literally right up into that. So we're really looking forward to it.
Wow. So this event, it's a one-day event. Is that right? Or there's other things that are happening in the days that lead up to it as well?
Yeah, our main focus at the Ritz is on Saturday. We have a lot of wine tastings, that type of thing during the day. But then in the evening, we do a really nice luxury lifestyle cocktail reception in a ballroom where it's filled with beautiful Porsches, Ferraris, all different types of cars. A lot of fun. Then everyone wakes up the next morning and we've got 300 cars placed in and amongst all the lawns and the gardens of the Ritz.
Wow. So this is really great. Now, this isn't your first time to Ace Cafe.
No.
Because you've been involved with Festivals of Speed out here at the Ace Cafe. So
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that. How long have you been doing that, and how are those nights maybe different than Porsche night?
Well, this is a great concept, and this has got to be 3 years ago. I remember when Mark told me, one of the owners, they were doing this, and we said right away we'd love to be involved. So what we do is once a month, I think it's a Tuesday night, first Tuesday, we do a Festival of Speed night, and we just basically invite everybody out. It doesn't matter what car you have, and they come out just like the Porsche guys are out here tonight, relaxed, laid back, come and go as you please. So everyone has a lot of fun. A lot different than the Ritz, a little bit more formal. You're there all day. This is come and go as you please, relax. Both great events. A little bit different format here.
Ah, well, that's great. Yeah, I love that feel too. Sort of the localized feel. You know, everybody comes out. We've had such a wonderful time out here with local Porsche people. You know, coming onto a show, which they've never done before, but we make it comfortable enough and conversational enough that I think everyone's had a fantastic time. They really enjoyed doing it, and it's so cool to see people talk about their cars, talk about their passion for Porsche on Porsche night, and just sort of, you know, have that whole community, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it, with all this, and it's just been a fantastic time. So, you know, we're super happy that you've come out tonight. I want to dig a little bit deeper. Maybe we'll finish up on more of a personal level. Sure. So, I know we met for the first time, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you know, as it is with me, if you meet me, I'm going to start talking cars.
Yeah. And I'm the same way.
And I remember you told me that you had a pretty special car that you're getting some work done to now.
Yeah.
So maybe tell everybody about, you know, where your car passion started.
Sure.
And then maybe you can finish up with the car that you got underway right now.
Yeah, I think I'm like a lot of people, you know. My mother showed me a photograph of myself, I think I was 5 years old, wearing a Ferrari t-shirt. And, you know, I grew up in Long Island, up in New York, and there was a great mechanic right in Huntington. Tom, you might even know, I mean, you're a Long Island guy as well, but downtown Huntington, and he worked mainly on Porsche, but he had other exotics in there, and he's still there to this day. I forget the name. He's an independent mechanic that works on these cars. Great reputation, though. But I think that's kind of what sparked me.
Oh, really?
I remember coming across a Mercedes Gullwing at Sunken Meadow Park. I was probably 9 years old, and I said to my father, I'm like, what is that? You know, it just blew me away. A gorgeous Gullwing. And
those doors had opened up like, you know, just amazing.
And now look what they're worth, right? I mean,
exactly.
this was a while back. But the car that we're working on now, it's not the most expensive Porsche in the world, but this particular car we really like. It's a Porsche 1986.5. Halfway through production, they went to upgraded the motor, suspension, brakes, 928S. But it's a one owner, 49,000 original mile car. And the car really needed nothing. We just did the timing belt as a preventative measure. But it's like a dark charcoal gray exterior with a burgundy leather interior. Tweaked a couple of things. But, you know, it's not worth the most money in the world, but it's a pristine example. And it's a 5-speed. Wow. So it's a lot of fun.
So you can't wait to get back behind the wheel.
It's a blast.
So what's the timetable? When are we going to see this thing?
We're actually, hopefully we'll get this thing done in 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Hopefully. It'll be at the Ritz.
Okay, it'll be at the Ritz.
For sure.
And can I get a commitment that you'll bring it out here to Porsche night sometime?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, by the way, Hurley Haywood, legendary Porsche driver, he'll be at the Ritz on December 1st and 2nd, both days with us. He'll be with Tom's display with Porsche of South Orlando, so it's going to be very heavy Porsche.
Wow. I mean, Hurley Haywood, you know, we talked a little bit earlier with Ken Fingler with International GT, and he talked about his longtime friendship and association with Derek Bell.
Yeah.
We talked about him as, you know, being maybe the most prolific sports car racer, but if Hurley was sitting next to us right now, I think we'd have a pretty interesting conversation with Derek and Hurley about who the most prolific is, because certainly, unquestionably, Hurley Haywood is the most decorated and, you know, driver from the USA.
Oh my God,
just, you know, unbelievable accomplishments from Hurley. And he's right up the road, and we're going to have him here for the Festival of Speed.
Yes, absolutely. And, well, I'm sure you'll be talking to him.
That's going to be really a special
Just come
time.
to Porsche South Orlando setup at the Ritz-Carlton on December 2nd.
Right. So. Well, that's going to be so much fun. So, Tom, maybe we finish up with this. So, Joe, thanks so much for coming in. It's been really cool to have you in here. I have not been to a Festivals of Speed yet. Okay, so I'm really looking forward. I am really looking forward to it, and you know, it's going to be a great time in December. So, Tom, maybe tell us a little bit about what's happening with the dealership. Last month we had Chris Mealy and Carmen Cerreto in here, and they talked about the dealership a little bit. Maybe just a little bit of an update about what's going on out there and what we can see coming in the next month or two or so.
For sure. Things are moving well. You know, it's construction, so it's a brand new facility. It's a big facility. Things are on track. Can't give you a firm date, but Chris is an operating partner of the dealer. And right about the time that Festival of Speed kicks in, I think we'll be ready to open the doors.
Wow, that's going to be so
looking
exciting.
Looking forward to it.
There was some folks just in here a little bit earlier, about maybe 45 minutes ago, talking about the new dealership. So I know the buzz is starting in the local community, and people are just, they're just anxiously awaiting to see the doors open.
Yeah, we're grateful to be in the area, and it's going to be a friendly place to come. We welcome everybody to come down and check it out.
Well, awesome. Well, again, thanks for coming on with us tonight, both of you guys, sharing your time with us and sharing your stories. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think that's going to wrap us up tonight for Porsche Night at the Ace Cafe. So again, we encourage you all to come out and join us every month. We're out here on the third Monday of every month, celebrating Porsche, having a great time with friends. So come out and join us sometime, and we'd love to have you out here with your car and just take in this great venue. So that's it for Porsche Night tonight at the Ace Cafe.
Thanks.
Very nice. That was fun.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. Glad to have you guys involved.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and we'll button up with you on Wednesday.
Okay.
Something